I finished the marathon everyone said I'd quit. The race hadn't even started when a man looked at me, smiled, and said, "You'll learn after the first 10 miles." A few people around him laughed. I forced a smile, only because I didn't want anyone to see how terrified I really was. I wasn't an athlete. 6 months earlier, I couldn't even jog around my neighborhood without stopping every few minutes to catch my breath. I was 32, overweight, constantly exhausted, and convinced I just wasn't built for difficult things. Then my dad passed away. While cleaning out his garage, I found one of his old notebooks filled with goals he'd never gotten to finish. One page made me stop. Run a marathon before I turned 60. He never got the chance. The next morning, I registered for one, not because I believed I could finish, but because I wanted one of us too. Training was brutal. The first week, I threw up after running 2 miles. By the third week, my knees ached so badly, I dreaded getting out of bed every morning. Friends eventually stopped asking how training was going because my answer never changed. I'm still slow. Social media was full of runners celebrating personal records and incredible finish times. Meanwhile, I celebrated making it through a run without walking. Every tiny improvement felt invisible to everyone, except me. Then race day finally arrived, 26.2 miles, thousands of runners. Everyone looked confident. Everyone looked like they belonged there. Everyone except me. The starting horn echoed through the crowd. We began moving. For the first few miles, I actually felt amazing, almost too amazing. Experienced runners kept saying not to start too fast. I ignored them. By mile 12, my body reminded me exactly why they'd warned me. By mile 16, every step hurt. By mile 18, I wasn't thinking about the finish line anymore. I was negotiating with myself. Just make it to the next water station. Then, just make it to the next corner. Eventually, just don't stop before that tree. The marathon stopped feeling like one impossible challenge. It became hundreds of tiny promises I refused to break. Then came mile 20. Everything fell apart. My left calf cramped so hard I almost collapsed onto the pavement. Runner after runner passed me. Medical volunteers asked if I wanted to stop. For the first time all day, I almost said yes. Then I thought about my dad's notebook. He never got another chance. I still had mine, so I stood up. I took one more step, then another, then another. Crossing the finish line wasn't dramatic. There was no movie soundtrack, no slow motion moment. Just exhausted strangers cheering as broken. Emotional runners stumbled across the line when I finally crossed. I wasn't crying because I'd finished a marathon. I was crying because I finally understood something. Perseverance isn't pretending you're fearless. It isn't refusing to feel pain. And it definitely isn't being stronger than everyone else. It's choosing to take the next step, even when every part of you wants to stop. Months later, people congratulated me for having the discipline to run a marathon, but they misunderstood. The marathon didn't build my perseverance. Perseverance was built on every morning I wanted to stay in bed. Every rainy run, every painfully slow mile, every setback that could have become an excuse, but didn't. The finish line was simply proof that thousands of ordinary decisions had quietly transformed me into someone who no longer quit. And that changed far more than my ability to run 26.2 miles. It changed the way I faced every challenge that came after.